Hey, it's Justine.
And Jenna.
Welcome to the Same Brain Podcast. Today, we're actually going to the Rivian R2 reveal event, and we got a chance to chat with RJ, who's the CEO of Rivian, and he announced 3 new vehicles today.
3! Can you believe it? Now, this isn't our normal setup, but the conversation was just too good, so we wanted to post it as a full podcast, so enjoy. RJ, it is so nice to meet you and be here. You know, I've had my R1S since last May. Huge fan. Sold her R1T. And today, huge announcements. So congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for being here. Really excited to talk to you both.
So you kind of surprised us today because we thought this was going to be all about the R2, which yes, it is. You also had the R3 and then the R3X, and it was an incredible event. I mean, you had one more thing, and then you're like, oh, just kidding, one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. Yeah, the R2, it's not just a vehicle, it's also a platform. As we were developing R2 and R3 as concepts, we had a lot of debate early on whether R3 should come first, and the reason for that is, as a company, Rivian represents so much more than a vehicle segment or a vehicle form factor. It represents really like an orientation around saying yes to things that are, that scare you, saying yes to new ideas, and to be able to stretch our brand, to stretch the definition of what is a Rivian into such a different form factor, something you don't expect with R3. We really were debating whether it should go R1 to R3, then back to R2. But we ultimately decided, as you see, the next thing we're building is R2 and then followed by R3. But it was so important to us to show the two of them together because it really represents the future of the company in terms of scale, in terms of having a much larger number of people that can afford our products. And R3 is like at a deep special place in my heart because it wasn't a straight line to come up with what that was. The brief was, let's find a form factor and a shape that enables active lifestyle so you can fit your gear, your stuff, your life into it, whatever your adventure may be, but also be tidy on dimensions, something that can fit into small spaces, fits in an urban environment. And it led to this product that it's like crossover-y. So we say it's a crossover, but it just has such a unique personality that our head of design always describes it as the only way to describe an R3 is to say it's an R3. Because there's nothing that's quite like that form factor with that ground clearance, that hatchback sort of feel. But yeah, we're really excited.
And the interior of it, it's so cool and like unique and different. I love like the little orange accents too. Like,
oh yeah,
it was really cool. I was like, man, I want to get in that, but one day.
Yeah, we didn't get in it yet, but
you guys didn't get the
no, not yet.
Yeah.
I know you guys
no,
are.
it's okay.
So
I spilled grease on myself. You don't want me to do
Did
it.
you sit in an R2?
I got in it, but I didn't sit in it.
Okay.
There was a lot of people. I didn't want to hog all the space, but no. So it's like, speaking of the R2, obviously you got probably a lot of customer feedback, from the R1. What did you take into consideration, when designing like the R2?
Designing something like a car, there's so many decisions, and it's not as if 2 or 3 people are making all the decisions. There's thousands and thousands of decisions that all have to puzzle and cascade together. There's some of them that are really big, like what's the size of the vehicle, what's the battery pack, but then you get into like this long tail of highly interlinked decisions. So the wheelbase, which seems like a decision that would affect like the overall size, but it also affects the shape of the door and how the glass drop works in the door and what the rear legroom feels like and what the seat shape like. And so going around that process iteratively on R2 to arrive at a shape, a form factor, a size, all the interior details to really feel special, and then to coordinate all those decisions amongst thousands of engineers, each making independent decisions. That exercise, we see the culmination of it today in a product that we think conceptually really speaks to what we see as an unmet need in the market with that price point and that form factor.
Yeah, and I feel like you're touching each kind of market, because before it was like, okay, the SUV is a little bit too big.
Yeah.
We're like, well, okay, well now we have an option for you. And then you're like, oh, that might be a little bit too big as well. Now we have more options.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be so incredible for people going forward. And obviously, I have the R1T and I'm obsessed with it. So it's just kind of cool to see all of these different iterations for people.
Oh yeah, and our R3, as I was saying, it takes Rivian and applies it in a way that no one expected. And I think that's really valuable. It's really helpful for our owners to see just how big our ideas are for what Rivian can become.
My favorite thing though was being able to put down all of the seats in the
R2.
R2.
Camp mode, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to call that just, I'm a hoarder and I have a ton of things that I'm always needing to move around.
It becomes a movable storage.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, the amount of times we'll like go to Home Depot and we'll just get like random massive like Christmas trees or things. I'm like, oh, we'll stick it in the, in the Rivian. But like now we can actually like, well, you probably won't get invited. It'll just be I'll put that seat down.
Yeah.
But no, it's great to have options because
totally.
like the amount of times like you need that space. And I mean, I just love with my R1S being able to like have that flat thing. So like the fact that now it can all go flat. like that really is a game changer.
Yeah.
Kind of making that design, you guys had to take off the headrest. So what was that kind of process?
Well, on the passenger side, it goes down without the headrest.
With the drivers.
On the driver's side, you
yeah.
have to clear the steering wheel. It's a lot of seat design went into that. There's, I mean, at one point, it was maybe, I don't know, 9 months ago, the whole design studio must have been 300 different seat headrest sketches with how do you make the seat headrest like unplug really easily and not feel cumbersome. And I don't think we showed that in detail, but the headrest comes, it's like slides out really nicely. It's elegant.
We did get a little
you saw?
preview. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they
so-
said too, there's obviously like all these safety things that you have to, abide by and make sure that, it all fits that. So the fact that you guys were able to do that, it's very impressive.
And then the seat has to articulate in a different way to go forward. So yeah, a lot of debate around that for sure.
And I think kind of going and thinking about the future of like autonomous vehicles. Now you announced kind of a newer platform and updated so that that'll be something that you'll be able to do in the future.
Yeah, so the perception stack, the 11 cameras and the 5 radars, a significant step up to where we've been and what you've both experienced in R1. Importantly, a lot of that technology also be carried into R1, so it's not just R2, we'll see it on R2 and R1. But then the compute architecture, so the ability for the vehicle to process all that data coming from our cameras and our radars is order of magnitude stronger than where we've been. And what that allows is really significantly enhanced self-driving or autonomous capabilities. And for us, the focus has been what we call ramp to ramp. So when you get on the highway, you can really get your time back, take your hands truly off the wheel, eyes off the road. And we have a light version of that, which you see today, which it stays in lane, but you have to continually sort of say, I'm here, you have your hands on the wheel. We'd like to say once you're on the highway, you can do whatever.
That was me this morning with a breakfast sandwich in one hand and the highway assist on, just cruising here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of progress since the old days of like driving with your knee.
Right. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
But that is exciting. I'm excited to see, the future of that. So the charging port, what was the decision between, for moving the charging port now?
Yeah, so today it's in the front driver's side, and we moved it to the rear passenger side. And the reason for that is we wanted it to be on the same diagonal. So if you had a charger in your house, you could back in and everything still fits the same way. The reason to go to the back was really driven out of achieving these aggressive cost targets. So the rear-wheel drive version of the vehicle, where there's just one motor in the back, we didn't want to have to run high voltage cable up to the front because all the high voltage output from the battery pack is coming out the back of the battery pack, and it goes, of course, into the motor, and now it comes out of the battery pack into the motor or to the charge port. Whereas an R1 is a little different because we always have a motor in the front and the back, so there's already high voltage in the front as well.
Now, was there 3 different options to choose from for the?
Yes, there's a single motor rear-wheel drive, then there's a dual motor all-wheel drive, and then there's a tri-motor all-wheel drive, 1 in the front, 2 in the back, and that's really a nice setup.
See, I haven't been really using my vehicle as an adventure vehicle yet, so I'm just like driving to the gym and to get, food, so I really need to take it off-road.
Highly capable vehicles for driving to the gym, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, that's part of one of the exciting things about with an electric vehicle. You can have all this capability, and if you're not using it all the time, it's not as if you're feel like you're being inefficient with it. You can have something that's really capable, really fun to drive, but when you're just cruising around town, it's still really efficient.
Okay, I loved at the beginning when you guys showed the video of the guy towing the semi off the road. Like, that could be us one day.
It could be.
Like, we could be
hunting
saviors.
for semis and ditches.
Yes, like who needs help? Like, I'm here.
Yeah, you never know. That drive to Vegas, sometimes there's a lot of stuff.
Well, and he kept pulling. I'm like, I think he's out now. You can let him go.
I'm taking him. Speaking of, is there what's the towing capacity for the R2?
We haven't announced towing capacity, but R1's really capable in terms of towing. You can tow a semi out of a ditch. R2 will be equally capable for its class, so it won't have the same level of overall towing, but it'll be best in class like what we have with R1.
Cool. And you also announced the new Rivian Adventure network too.
Yeah.
So,
have you guys used one of our?
Oh yeah, the Barstow. I use it all the time. Yeah.
So we're adding a lot more. So we need to build out this network to about 600 sites, and that'll happen over the next couple of years. And we're also going to be opening it up to non-Rivian customers, and with that allows us to, in many ways, self-fund the continued growth of the network because it becomes profitable. And then along with that, opening up to use other third-party networks. I think the one that's most important is access to the Tesla network, which starts this month.
Soon, right? Yeah, very soon. That's exciting.
But yeah, I mean, the RAN network, if you used it, the uptime's great. It works really well. I can't wait to have all those dots on that map completed.
I know, that's going to be really exciting. I've also used the Yosemite. When we did the first trip, we used the one in the park, which was really cool. Yeah. No, that's been a game changer, especially for the trip to Vegas. And it's always nice because it's always just Rivian people too at the time, and we're just always talking about how much we love our vehicles. And I actually met a lot of people at the chargers, and they were like, I watched your video and then I bought one. And I'm like,
really?
what?
Yeah.
I was like, tell RJ that. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, that's so cool.
That's so cool.
It's just really cool because I feel like the community around Rivian,
Yeah.
I don't know, everyone is just so nice, and it's just like, it's been really great to be a part of it.
nice to
So
hear.
it's really cool.
I mean, I bought my R1T at the launch of the cinema, of the
yeah.
theater, because I was like, this culture is amazing. Everyone's so cool. And I literally bought it in the lobby. Like,
really?
yes, on my phone. And then I was like, is this the one that I want, everyone? And they're like, yes.
You were here at the December launch?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
you saw it as a movie theater.
Yeah, so it's just really cool because I think, you know, I love kind of like studying like company culture and kind of seeing how that trickles down to like customers and things like that. So for you guys kind of, you know, heading up this whole endeavor, like what is most important for you as far as like culture is concerned?
It's interesting you say company culture bleeds so much into the product. Brand and culture are actually really similar in that they're both informed in the aggregate, meaning like our culture of Rivian isn't what I say it is. It's what, you know, what it feels like to be within the business, and the brand of the business isn't some statement we put on a piece of paper. It's what it feels like to show up at an event and see how people are reacting to our products. And so much of it relies on us being really authentic to the values that we care about. And so in the case of our culture, a core value of ours is that we're working on really hard problems, and we need to be comfortable working really effectively as a team, which means we need to be capable of disagreeing, we need to be capable of having active debate, but we need to do it in a respectful way where you and I can have a different point of view on a product decision, but that doesn't mean I'm at war with you. It means that we're gonna spar until we find the best version of that idea. And then once we make decisions, we need to be able to move those decisions forward. And so that's a learned skill. It's a hard thing to do, and especially as the organization gets a lot bigger and more complex, avoiding the politics or the silos that so easily form in large, complex product organizations. And we're by no means perfect, but we have a very clear North Star, and we work really hard to make sure the leadership that we have in place embodies those values, and then make sure the way we promote leaders within the business embodies those values as well.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have been doing an excellent job of that. I think the first time I saw Rivian was at CES. It was the truck, and I was like, what is this? And ever since then, like, as soon as I could pre-order, I pre-ordered,
Really?
and like, I've just been a fan since then. And I was like, this is incredible. And I don't know, it's really, I don't know, I feel very proud and excited for like how far you guys have come and like what the future is. Yeah. You know, you have what, five vehicles now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, with these, it was wild, that vehicle lineup.
It more than doubled, so I don't know, I'm just really excited, you know, for the future, and hopefully drive that R2 soon.
Yeah,
take it for a little cruise.
Oh yes, even kind of going back to like the R3, just because I feel like you talked about it, but I feel like, you know, obviously the R2 is the main focus because that's something we can pre-order now, which is super exciting. So
We
I guess,
reserved them.
We both
reserved R2.
It's like I have to. I mean, I guess, can you tell us any more about the R3? Like, what can we expect, or is there anything else
What
that
you
people might want to know?
saw represents really what we expect to ultimately deliver. The element that's not immediately obvious is just the smaller size does make it more maneuverable. It's, you know, it's a roughly 5-inch shorter wheelbase. It fits really well, and we see that in our team talks about this all the time, is how this will fit urban environments really, really well. That's not to say it can't go off into an adventure outside of an urban environment, but the ability to carry something like musical instruments, or the ability to move umbrellas across town, or the ability to put a rug in the back of the vehicle. These are things we've thought a lot about because those are the real world use cases of something that's going to have such broad applicability. That's informed a lot of the decisions at the detail level that we're making trade-offs around, is making this the most usable car. We talk all the time about if you're hiking or biking, it needs to be the most usable car, but if you're experiencing life, if you have 2 kids, if you have 2 dogs, like, this car needs to fit that lifestyle really well.
Well, I feel like too, with, you know, these new vehicles, it's gonna expand to like the European market too, right?
Sure,
as well, like that's probably in the plans.
For sure.
I don't think the truck or the R1T or the R1S are.
The R1T and R1S are not in Europe.
Okay.
R2 for sure in Europe, and R3 definitely.
I mean, that's
in Europe.
very exciting.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
A whole new market is gonna.
Oh, we're getting all kinds of messages from folks
That's great. Yeah, that was really
saying, like,
exciting.
when can we get it?
You're like, well,
Soon.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Is there anything else you want to add or tell our people in there?
No, I mean, it's great having you both here, and I love your enthusiasm for what we're building. Thanks for getting to know us and our product so well.
Yeah, we'll be here. Don't worry. We're big fans. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.